Hello guys, it's SHOX, I hope you are doing well. Today we're gonna talk about the Blast Bounty Finals that just ended in January. We had a lot of shuffle during that player break between Christmas and New Year. So a lot of new teams, new players coming out into this new format as well from Blast. It was actually really interesting to see how exciting it was with this new format. So I would say honestly, congrats to Blast because I feel like it was really entertaining. Now let's see what did we actually learn from there. Who was the best team, who was the worst teams, and what can we expect for 2025. Okay, so first we're gonna talk about G2. G2 who actually lost Nico because Nico moved to Falcons, and they actually got Heavy God. They managed to qualify for the LAN finals with that first event, so I think that's a big win for them. But if you look at more in depth, they actually beat Big, but Big managed to get one map against them, which is not what you want for, especially when you are G2. And same goes to B8. Even if it was in overtime, B8 still got one map and they were actually close to win the last one. So maybe G2 could have been out by B8. So, I mean, good thing what we can say is like Heavy God apparently individually is not having any trouble by joining a new team. He was really performing against B8, and even Big, he was even like the best player for G2. So that's a really good sign for G2. But second one is actually, even if Heavy God is actually doing good individually, like they're still struggling against teams that they should not struggle. When you are G2, you don't want to struggle against Big or against B8, right? So yes, the fire power that brings Heavy God compared to Nico, I think is fine. It was a really good pick on that side. But we have to remember that Nico was a big voice for G2. So are they gonna miss this voice? You know? They are qualified for the final. Let's see what happens next. But yeah, definitely I'm looking forward to see more of G2. Because they're gonna need to help Snacks about the calls and the leadership. Because if not, maybe losing Nico was too much for G2. Vitality also qualified for the finals with Robs just arriving, because Robs is actually taking the place of Spinks, who didn't want to play anymore for Vitality. I mean, it was like kind of mutual agreement in a way. So Robs came in from FaZe, right? So that's a big win in my opinion for Vitality, because I think Robs is a way better. I mean, it's a better player than Spinks, and he can bring way more to a team than Spinks. So that's a really good upgrade for a team that was already like a big contender for titles. But even if they qualified for the finals, they actually get too close against teams that they shouldn't be. 13-11, 39 against Mystispro, 13-11, 13-6 against Virtus Pro. I think if you are Vitality and you are upgrading, because Robs is an upgrade for Spinks, you shouldn't get too much runs against these teams. Virtus Pro is just a new team, so normally you should have definitely the edge because you are just changing one player and you don't have like that much change in your role, because Robs was also a lurker. So it's definitely an upgrade, and getting that close against Mystispro as well, not a good sign as well. Good thing though is like Robs actually delivered. He's at 128 against Mystispro, and he is also like at 113 against VP. So he was showing up, he was doing good. So looks like he's gonna definitely like fit correctly into the team, I think, without any trouble. Who knows why Flamesy was not here? Definitely he had a really like bad opening of 2025. He was like number 7, I think, in 2024, right? He had an amazing year. This is not how you want to start the year when you are Flamesy. What we learn is that even if Robs is an upgrade for Spinks, Vitality problem to win like big titles remains the same. They all need their players to shine during like the same time. For example, here, Flamesy was not here on both matches, which maybe could have like be a nightmare for Vitality against like tier 2 teams, or against not the best teams in the world. So cool for Robs, but be careful. It's not because Robs is here that it's gonna be as easy as you think. Bet Boom! We got Bet Boom who actually qualified. That's a big win for that new team. They just got Exile and Boomish for the start of the year in 2025. And actually, it's paying off. It's only their first events, and they managed to beat Furia, who didn't change anything during like the player break with all the shuffles, and even Mouse, who is like top 5 team in the world, didn't make any change. Definitely a contender for title in 2025, and they managed to beat both by just having 2 new players in 2 weeks. So that's the performance, I believe, in the Blast Bounty we just saw at the early stage in January. Looking really forward to see them play more. Is it a honeymoon, or maybe like Boomish is coming back to like his best form when he was like leading with Navi, you know? But definitely also like Exile was also really performing. He's actually like the best player for Bedboom on both matches. And Exile was in a struggle form the last few years, you know, since Clone9 ended and stuff. So, Gambit, I think it was Gambit. So now, if Exile is coming back, and Boomish as well, is this like Exile and Boomish from like the Gambit, Navi era we saw like the last few years? Let's see. But actually, this can be a really dangerous team. And they just show it up by beating 2 best teams that didn't make any shuffles. So they shouldn't like even get that much close, you know, in a sense, you know. Maybe taking one map was good, but they managed to beat them both. So that's a huge pair for them. Unfortunately, they won't be able to go like in the night finals with these 5 because there is 2 players from the teams that have like visage issues. That really sucks, honestly. I would have loved them to see them like in, you know, with the best teams like during the final and stuff. I think it would be like so much a good team to follow. But visa issues, maybe they actually didn't think they would qualify, you know? Because definitely like you're not gonna pick Bedboom against Mouse with what happened in 2024. So that's a big step. We're gonna need to wait for the next event then. Fix your visa issues, please, Bedboom, because we want to see you. Eternal Fire actually qualified for the line finals as well. I think that's a really good thing because we have to remember that Eternal Fire didn't even qualify for the major of Shanghai at the end of the year. They did a fair good 2024 year. There was a lot of good things that were coming and that we showed during the year. And we were actually thinking that maybe this major can be like something where they could actually like show up more and more because they were just like grinding from one event to an event and somehow they just struggled and didn't even qualify for it, losing to Astralis in the RMR stage. So that was like really not the best thing, but here's the qualified. Okay, they didn't play the best. They played Fluxo and they played Falcons, which is like a new team, okay? So maybe not the best teams, but still they actually managed to win 2-0 and 2-0, so they didn't lose a single map. And when you are Eternal Fire and you didn't end 2024 with your best form and you even like failed your last major, I think that's a good start of the year. This is how you want to start. At the end of the day, you didn't lose a single map, you qualified for the finals, job is done. Let's hope they can actually like continue that way, because I would really like them to actually like push what they were starting to do in 2024 and then up like not good as we all wanted, especially them, of course, but that's a good start. So maybe actually not qualifying for the major, they had more time to prepare, more time to rest also during the player break. They didn't do any changes, so maybe we can expect some good things from them. Pain! We have Pain who actually qualified for the line finals, and that's actually insane because they were definitely not a favorite to go there because there was only like 8 spots, as you can see. And more than that, they actually beat Gamer Legend, which is like fine, I will say. Nothing too much fancy, but the 2-0 phase. The 2-0 phase 13-10 and 13-11. So yes, even if phase actually changed one player because Ropes went to Vitality, I mean, they took Elise. Elise is actually an insane player, so it's normally shouldn't be like that much a problem. Maybe role-wise, we're gonna talk about phase a little more later in the video. But for now, just talking about Pain, that's actually a good performance. They're gonna go to a line final again. They're gonna actually like fight against the best teams, so they're gonna earn more experiences, you know. So they're slowing going up, and that's definitely good for Brazil counterstrike. Heroic was the last team to actually qualify for the line finals, I mean, with Bed Boom is definitely like not something you were actually looking for, not something we could not like see it coming, and that's a really, really good performance from them. Remember that Heroic got all his team, this team like just sold up from other organizations, and they had to do a totally new roster. This is a totally new, fresh roster, all five, they never played together, they have to do everything from the scratch. And somehow they managed to beat 3D Max first, which actually like was a good team, you know, like they went to the major, they managed to do at least one win at the major, like they were playing pretty good Counter-Strike at the end of the year. They didn't do any change during the player break, so normally 3 Max were above Heroic, and they still managed to beat that team, so that is a big performance. Second, they also managed to beat Liquid in a really like good fashion, you know, 13-8, 13-10, even the map they lose, it's only 13-11. Liquid, which is supposed to be like better, because Nerds is an upgrade for Yekindar, because they decided to bench Yekindar, so Nerds is an upgrade. Like, this is definitely an insane performance for Heroic. I'm looking really forward to see what they can do at the LAN finals, because I'm actually really surprised that they actually managed to do like so much good results against really good teams like that. Let's see how it goes in LAN, but bro, thank you for the show, Heroic. Gonna talk, of course, about Falcons. We have to talk about Falcons, you know that. I mean, the new Falcon teams with Nico and the trio also from Heroic. So this is a funny thing, you know, Heroic qualified for the LAN finals, but Falcons did not manage to qualify with the trio from Heroic. Like, I don't know, bro, that's insane, that's crazy. What can we say about Falcons? I mean, yes, for sure, we have some stuff to say. I feel like it was definitely a more competitive roster than the last year. They managed to beat Ants. It was a really close one, but don't underestimate Ants, okay? It's definitely a good team. They didn't do any change during the player break. So normally a team like that is supposed to beat a team like Falcons, who actually, like, besides the trio, like, never played together. It's a totally fresh team, right? So doing that performance was cool, honestly. Even if you have like big names like Nico, Magisk and stuff, like, that's cool. We can see also that Tezes really like performed a lot, which is like a good sign actually for Falcons. So that's really nice. It was not enough for Eternal Fire, but still managed to actually get a double overtime against such a class team. Honestly, not that bad for Falcons. Only one thing for me you have to be scary about is that the fact Magisk, which is known as one of the best players in the world, in my opinion, in his role for like the last 5, 6, 7 years, he has been beating, he won like 4 majors, even 5, I think, now with Vitality, or it was 4, I don't know. But like, he was a guy who is always performing, always constant, already like, this is someone that you want in your team, okay? And he's almost never underperforming. Here, the first 2 matches with Magisk, with Falcons, Eternal Fire, 2 maps 0.55. I don't know if we even see that from him. And against Ents, he was 0.99. This is not what you want from Magisk. And when you are creating a team like Falcons and you are bringing Nico to your roster, like, definitely, let's be honest, the 2 stars from Falcons is Nico and Magisk. Nico actually performed pretty fine, I would say. Not the best, not the worst, let's see. But Magisk was definitely like not here. So this is scary. This is a question mark, because if Falcons want to be competitive in 2025, they need Magisk. There is no world when they can be competitive if Magisk is not showing up. So not the worst start, I would say, for Falcons, even if they didn't qualify. But bro, we need to see Magisk. Come on, Magisk. You can do it, my bro. FaZe didn't qualify as well. I think this is definitely disappointing. The disappointing part about FaZe not qualifying is especially like how they didn't actually qualify. They lost to M80. No, sorry, they won against them. Oh, sorry, they won against M80, but I mean, they lost 1 map against M80, and I don't think they are supposed to lose a map against a team like M80 when you are actually FaZe and you just bring Elige. And they lost 2-0 against Pain. So I'm not saying Pain is bad, definitely not, okay? And as we just said before, they are going up and they're getting better and better, and that's cool for them, cool for the Brazilian scene. But FaZe, when you are FaZe, you don't want to lose your qualification against Spain. Definitely not. So that's disappointing. And the big question mark about FaZe, we are talking about the role, right? Because Robs was a lurker and then bring Elige, who is not a lurker, and apparently they have some problem. And the thing that for me is, I would say, how can I say that? Dangerous. It's Frozen, who was, in my opinion, one of the best player for FaZe last year, because he had so much important matches, so much important runs. He was really consistent all over the year. Since he arrived in the team to replace Twist, he was so good, honestly. And here, he's bottom fragging against Spain, and against M80, he's also bottom fragging. This is something you barely saw in 2024, honestly. So, is this because of Elige? Is this because of the new role? I don't know. We would have to wait to see more off matches, but this can be the big problem for FaZe. If that Frozen can still have a good performance with Elige. Because for FaZe to perform, they need Elige and Frozen to perform. Of course, Brokey as well, but Brokey performed, so that's pretty good. But watch out. Frozen, FaZe need you. Another disappointment for that Blast Bounty Finals early in January 2025 is Liquid. It's Liquid because they decided to actually ban Shekindar to get Nerds, right? Nerds is definitely an upgrade. Shekindar was struggling since some times now in Liquid. This was really hard for him. Nerds is coming from Heroic, I think so. I hope I'm not mistaken. And he's actually like beasting. He's really like an insane player who is coming like more and more. Plus, he's delivering. As you can see, he's second here against Heroic, and against 9 Pandas, he was actually second as well. So Nerd is performing. When you actually bench Shekindar because he's underperforming and you want something more, and Nerd was probably one of the biggest pickup you could do during that shuffle. He was definitely one of the players like you are looking for, with everything going on in every other teams. Liquid managed to get him, and even with Nerds, so you are just replacing one player, and it's an upgrade. Okay, you win against 9 Pandas, not the best convincing, but it's only 9, it's okay. But you lose in the best of 3, and honestly 13-8, 13-10, it's a pretty like good score for Heroic, against a team who are actually playing together for 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. It is not possible. It is not acceptable when you are Liquid and you just bow out Nerds. Definitely not. So let's see how it goes in the future, but that was definitely a disappointing showing for Liquid. And the thing is, like, Nerds was performing, you know? So where is the problem? Maybe a little bit too soon, of course, to talk about that, but if it happens again in the next events, then we're gonna definitely have to question ourselves about what's going on. Talking about the other teams, that's what happened in the Blast Bounty 2025. Of course, we have Navi and Spirit who made it to the land finals. I didn't talk about them because they didn't have like insane matchups. They just did their job, basically. Okay, they won convincingly. The Navi was the best team in 2024. Spirit just won the major. Donkey just like unbeatable right now. I mean, that's totally normal. So nothing to say. Good job. Continue your way and let's see. We had Mouse who actually gets surprised by Bedboom. So that was a really good show for Bedboom. Talking about Mouse, it's too early to say whatever. It was only like the first match of 2025, you know. But Mouse is a top 5 team. So they better perform directly the next event. You don't want to go out like that against a team that just like, which is new. Not when you are Mouse. We had Viters Pro who did like a honorable performance, I would say, against Vitality. But it was not enough. Let's see how it goes. Only the beginning. We had Big who actually like lost. Who was it? It was against G2. So this is what I wanted to talk about. Big is a team that also didn't make like specific like big changes or whatever. And Canada has always the same problem. Yes, they can be tier 3 teams. Yes, they can be tier 2 teams. But as soon as they actually like face a big tier 1 team, which is like G2, maybe not even like the best one from the tier 1, they are losing. So is it like something that is blocking them, you know, maybe just not enough? And they got what we call the plafond vert, the glass ceiling. Maybe got a glass ceiling for sure. Talking about glass ceiling, I feel like Asteris is kind of the same. They actually like lost against Navi, okay? 13-11, but 13-6 after. So kind of the same thing. Yes, they beat other teams. Yes, they are good. but when they are facing really like big teams, something is just not happening. So maybe a glass ceiling as well. Plus, Kadian is definitely underperforming for now in Heroic, in Asteroid 3. Looks like he's not really working. I don't know how much time they will give him, but something is going wrong with Asteroid and Kadian, I feel like. We had 3D Max, who was disappointing, in my opinion, because they did only one match against Heroic, and they lost. And as I just said, they didn't make any chance. Heroic is a French team. You are supposed to actually win against a totally fresh team. So yeah, that was disappointing for 3D Max as well. Fnatic, we can say it was really like disappointing because they didn't have like the kind of honeymoon that other teams had like for like Heroic or Bad Boom, but they faced Spirit. So what can you say? You don't want to face Spirit and Donk when you are just a new team. So let's see for Fnatic, okay? Last but not the least, of course, I kept it for the last, Imperial Femal. That was definitely the thing that you want to see during that Blast Bounty final. It was the match against Na'Vi. Yes, they lost, but it was 13-7, 13-8, and even players like GL posted on X that actually they made them sweat. And it was a really hard game to play. You could see in the match that actually Imperial Femal had really good tactics. Individually, they were really good. They managed to get some clutches. And Anna, who is now like the best woman player of the year for 2 or 3 years in a row, didn't show up at all, you know. So honestly, that was really an interesting match to see. And Imperial Femal definitely good. And they, in my opinion, proved to the world that Femal Counter-Strike can actually compete along the best. So maybe, of course, it's too soon to say like they can be best team or third. No. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm expecting and hoping for the world Counter-Strike scene that the Femal scene or the best Femal teams got more invites maybe to some good events like this, because it is really interesting. And if they want also like to grow up, we need to help them in a way, you know, to get invited and stuff. So that was really interesting. They did a really insane performance for the Femal scene, and I can't wait to see more of them. I really hope in 2025 we'll have like more matches between the best team in the world against like the Femal scene, because we can definitely be surprised. Man, they are shooting hard. That's it, what we learned from the Blast Bounty 2025 here. So as you could see, like there is a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of new teams, new players, new matches. I think it's gonna be really exciting. It's still the first few weeks, so you know, you are not sure about what you are seeing. Is it because it's a honeymoon? Is it because it's only like going back from vacation that some teams are also like struggling or whatever? We got Katowice, who is coming just around the corner in about 2 weeks. So make sure to tune in for that, because I think it's gonna be like really interesting to see. 2025 is gonna be a banger for CS. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you soon.